And now I would like to present Dr. Karim Chamari.
Very much. Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I would like first to thank the organizers, Aspetar, FIFA, ISACOS, and especially Dr. Landreau and Dr. Peter Dour, and all the organizing committee. Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here today with you, physicians, doctors, physiotherapists, fitness coaches, sports scientists. All of us are only the supporting team of a football team, for example. So let's imagine that we are a staff of football team, and suddenly our football team is starting to underperform. The players are not running anymore, they are tired. The doctors and the medical staff see popping up in the clinics some supplementary injuries, more illness, so we have a problem. One might think that this problem is caused by a high training load. So we'll have to check this. Is our training load too high? How is it possible to answer this question if you simply don't measure training load? How will you do? Nothing. It's impossible to address this problem if you don't measure training load. So the aim of this talk today will be to show you a simple, very worldwide used method, validated years ago, very simple to use to measure training load. First of all, I would like to say that I have no conflicts of interest, and we're gonna start speaking about training. Training is everyday life of football players. Every day the coach trains the players, giving them positive adaptations to training, but also associated fatigue. There's almost no training session without associated fatigue. So we have to be aware. Here in this room, we are all aware that training is good things, but also fatigue. Fatigue is necessary to reach adaptations. But from a game perspective, when the game approaches, fatigue is an issue. So this is why it's very important to monitor training load, to go to the game with no fatigue or almost no fatigue. So I'm going to base my talk on some references. These references have validated the method RPE, rating of perceived exertion, in football. These two articles show that this method is valid. But how does it work? This method works as follows. After each training session, you show the player this scale. How was your training today? He will answer 3.5, for example, because this session was of 72 minutes, and the player felt the session between moderate and somewhat hard. You just multiply these numbers, and you obtain one single, simple number, 252 arbitrary units. You will ask me, is it all? Is it so simple? Is it so simple? I'm sorry to tell you that yes, it is so simple. But is it validated? I'm sorry to tell you, yes, it is validated. Impellizzeri and colleagues in 2004 have shown that this method of RPE here on the x-axis, and on the y-axis you have heart rate measures, the trim. So the players knows how much his heart beated. This is about 27 sessions. The same is done here about a follow-up 7 weeks with 19 players. 3 days ago, the team of Wayne Gregson from Aspire and colleagues of him from UK have published a validation of this method over an entire season in EPL, English Premier League, professional football players, and in different positions. The RPE method is valid. There are several other publications showing that the RPE also is correlated to the accelerations, decelerations, high-intensity runs measured with GPS and accelerometers. But the brain of the player knows everything. And sometimes we forget the power of the brain of the player and we look into complicated GPS measures. Now what about football? Football is not only playing a match. Football is also conditioning, match of course, speed training, technical sessions, football, and resistance training. In Alex Yu and Coates, back in 2008, show that in elite female players, this method, RPE, was validated for these sub-components of football training. So what do we have? We have an easy tool. It allows to monitor a diversity of sessions, and also if you follow up individual answers, it takes into account the psychological fatigue, which is very much important to detect overreaching, and it allows to follow up real football, which is mixed sessions of ball, speed, running, everything. So, very good. Let's go to practical examples. And I'm sorry to present this apparently busy table, but please follow me. Just look at this on Friday. Friday is 2 days before the game, so we start to taper to reduce the training load. So we will train only 50 minutes and light session. Light session of 50 minutes, give 100. So when you go to the far right column, you will have all the training loads of each session, and the accumulation of this training load gives 1,784 units. This is the load of your week. We also have, I don't have time to extend today, but we also have the monotony index and the strain index. And the fitness coach, along with the medical staff and the coach, will try to follow up the team with these numbers. And these three numbers will allow the team not to be fatigued and to be in between detraining and in between overreaching fatigued. They have to be fit, ready for the battle. This figure is exactly the Excel sheet table that we saw on the previous slide. And you see here that the game is here on Sunday. Of course, Monday usually there's a rest day, and then first training session, accumulation of 2 training sessions, the peak, and then we taper here. Very important to taper to reduce the fatigue to be able to play the game. This is one complete season of one Tunisian team. So we will see here in the preparation phase, very high training load. The training loads are in black. And then the decrease during pre-competitive period. First leg, second leg, and Ramadan even lowered training load. I'm sorry to inform you that for this team, this preparation phase, with this high monotony, giving this very high constraint, resulted in a very high number of injuries, very high. Last slide about practical examples. Here, inverse relationships between training load of the week and the movement during the game. So if you have a high training load this week, you will not be able to run a lot during the game. So let's conclude about this first tool, the RPE method. It is an easy and scientifically validated tool. It allows to prescribe training load and then to adjust them day to day. And the aim is the optimization of performance and the prevention of overreaching, great fatigue. Now I'm going to present a second tool, which is complementary to the first. A football squad is composed of 25 players, and you send 11 of those on the field. So you already have individualization, obvious. But even me, a single person or player, I could have different moods every day. But unfortunately, the coach says, this week I'm going to do this, 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 this. And independently of the individuals or myself being fit, willing to train or fatigue, he will do the same training session. But this is progressively changing thanks to all these methods. This tool has been published 20 years ago. Hooper and colleagues have published this, and fortunately, during these last 5 years, more and more teams are using this Hooper index. What is the Hooper index? It is all about 4 questions about your sleep, your stress, your DOMS, and your fatigue. Just by presenting these two scales to the player, one for sleep from very, very good sleep to very, very bad, and one from very, very low to very, very high, stress, dumps, and fatigue. If you collect this every day, this will be a treasure for you. Why? Because in the Hooper index, you have some very important variables, like sleep, like stress, and these have been linked to the muscle injuries, some illness. So from a perspective of prevention, this is very important. It allows also direct exchange with the players, face-to-face, and detect at-risk players the day of the training. And you can react now, before the training. I'm so sorry for having only 10 minutes. I have so many stories to tell you. And here are some last slides with examples of DOMS and fatigue. This is the day after the game. So they have high DOMS and high fatigue. But look at the microcycle. The DOMS are increasing, then decreased, and fatigue is increased and then decreased. We try to reach low DOMS and low fatigue before the game. How could you send the player to the battle if he feels DOMS and he's fatigued? How could you do it? But we do it. We still train too much. Coaches still think that the more you train, the more you are fit. This is absolutely wrong. So please, give a chance to your players, send them to the game in fresh and fit conditions. How can you do this? By measuring some things. So, two last slides. Conclusion about the Hooper index. It allows following up important variables that are related to fatigue and counter-performance, or freshness, wellness, and also is a complementary method to the Rpe method. So 4 questions before the training session, 1 question after the training session. And the powerful brain of the player knows everything about his body. This is the overview, how you conduct, how you manage the team. You have here the training load and here the DOMS. And with the numbers, you can predict in advance, a successful training load or a training load associated with many issues. Last slide. This is a systematic review published in British Journal of Sports Medicine, appeared a few months ago, and that have reviewed all the subjective measures and shows that the subjective measures are not only valid, but they are also reliable to monitor training load. Thank you very much for your attention.